Welcome to Reddit Readings. Today's Am I the Asshole story is from the subreddit of Charlotte Dobre YouTube. Let's get started. My coworker confessed his love and I told his wife. Sorry, this might be a bit long and ranty. I, 27 female, used to work for several years at a telecommunication company as part of an IT team. It was a predominantly male collective, and most of my colleagues were at least 10 years older than me. It was the first corporate job I got after university, so I was quite pleased at first to land the position, even though I did not know what I was getting myself into. A few months in, I completed my training and was appointed to an international team, which meant most of the communication happened online, as the company had a limited budget for in-person meetings. I had pretty normal interactions with most of my coworkers and started to get to know them a bit since it was part of my job description to coach and support them to achieve high performance. My position was facilitator scrum master. The coworker this story is about was about twice my age. I will call him Joe for this story. Joe seemed quiet, thoughtful, motivated in his work, and quite smart. He was a good example to the rest of the team for his work ethic and enthusiasm. Over time, I learned about his hobbies, family, and so on. He shared photos from his family vacations and talked about his kids and his wife, who worked at an elderly home. In my eyes, our relationship was strictly professional, even though we sometimes joked or talked about life changes. As time went on, Joe started becoming more friendly with me. He made sure to wish me a nice weekend almost every Friday, and when I was on sick leave, he sent several messages wishing me to get well soon. It started to feel like he wanted to talk every day. He would reach out daily and somehow show that he was thinking of me. At first, I entertained it because I thought it meant I was doing a good job motivating him at work. And maybe I was, but not in the way I wanted to. I met Joe a couple of times in person when the company organized face-to-face on-site meetings. At these events, Joe would act very reserved. He would not start a conversation with me or talk much with anyone else. He was just there. That made me think he was just an odd character and that he wanted an online friend, so my alarms went quiet for a while. But then the messages started again. He began contacting me on my personal number and sending me photos from his weekends, which made me feel uncomfortable. It felt like he wanted my attention, and when I stopped responding, he became agitated in his demeanor. When we saw each other again in person, he demanded to speak to me privately. I hesitantly agreed, and he pulled me aside, giving me a gift, a small book with motivational quotes called "You Are Amazing." He then proceeded to thank me for how well I was doing at work and said he felt he had a special connection with me, more than a professional relationship. At that moment, I was too stunned to think clearly. Deep down, I knew what he meant, but I chose to be in denial and responded with something like, "Oh yeah, we are good friends." I could not believe he would say something like that, especially given that he had a family, was twice my age, and I had never shown any romantic interest. It all felt wrong and disgusting. Anyway, I chose to ignore the situation, gave him less and less of my attention, and casually mentioned in small talk that I was in a new relationship, which was true. From then on, I frequently reminded him about my boyfriend, moving in with him, and how happy I was. Joe did not seem upset, so I thought he had come to his senses. Some time passed, and I decided to leave the position and the company altogether. When I informed the team, Joe became very upset, wrote angrily, and skipped all team meetings for a week. He was essentially avoiding me and told me he was disappointed, which was another red flag. A month later, some of the team members, including Joe, came to my location to say goodbye. Most of them gave me small tokens of appreciation. Joe, however, demanded to speak to me privately again. I made sure to stay close to the other team members, as I didn't know what he was capable of. He handed me an envelope and said he had written a very personal message for me. I said I would read it at home. We said our goodbyes, and I left quickly. The letter was 3 pages long, handwritten, and described his twisted love for me. It detailed how I made him feel, how he was losing sleep, and other wannabe romantic nonsense. I took pictures of the letter. The next day, my last day of work, I emailed him with a response explaining that I did not want him to contact me again. I found his wife on Facebook and explained what was happening, including sending her pictures of the letter. She recognized his handwriting and was very upset. AITA for telling his wife and potentially ruining their marriage?